It's the 11th of October, 2024. Coming up in today's Global Intelligence Agency Operations Report. Behind the scenes, things heat up between militaries around the world and their former owners known as the Order of the Black Sun as they failed to declare global martial law. Is there really a mutiny happening? Have they finally had enough? Media is reporting a ceasefire order has been declared by President Zelensky of Ukraine. But does the Kremlin agree? Is the Biden administration really ready to give up their ownership in Ukraine's largest natural gas company? And why all the fuss, Russia? After all, you donated a large portion of your oil production to the British via the company TNK BP for years. You also paid the Bush family $1 per barrel of oil that flowed through the Transneft pipeline. You expect us to believe now you want to fight the West? Or did you promise this to your deep state partners? It's the 11th of October, 2024, and this is the Global Intelligence Agency Operations Report, where you get the real story behind world events in real history from the highest security clearance in the world. Okay, we're back, and it's Friday. What a week. When between hurricanes and everything else that's been going on in the world, it's definitely kept everybody pretty busy on my side. So let's talk about what's happening behind the scenes. This is, looked like it was going to be a kind of a momentous meeting, but it turned out to be somewhat of a flop. On Thursday, early morning on Thursday, there was a huge meeting that took place between the black nobility families. And by nobility, we're talking about, say, the head of the Jesuit order, the Medicis, the Aldebrandinis, and a few other big names that, really aren't public, but are part of that same group. Palavencinis we've mentioned, and a few others. Well, it was between them and some of the secret space program operatives, very high-level ones, and a few other members of their group, where they were trying to come up with a plan on what to do. They knew they were not going to be able to pull off their global martial law plan as anticipated on our side of it. So they were trying to come up with a plan, what to tell everybody, how to keep everybody on the hook. There was some talk about, if they don't pull this off, pull something off, it could mean the end of the empire and all of these talks. If you're new to us, this fight between the Order of the Black Sun, known as the Black Nobility, and the Rothschild family has been going on for a while now, meaning in the past, the Black Sun was subservient to the Order of the Dragon and the Rothschild family for about 3,000 years. So these groups are not new in the world, and they make up the deep state, what's left of it anyway. Okay, so a few hours after this meeting, or during this meeting, the Rothschild family was present in another meeting with their loyalist secret space program folks, and then everybody seemed to have joined together. The secret space program folks and operatives were more of the people in the middle. In this case, you had the Rothschild family and the dragons on one side, which includes the Chinese and others. And then you had what's left of them anyway, after what happened earlier this week. And then you had the Black Sun on the other side. And neither side is performing. There was a lot of arguing going on, civilized arguing in that particular meeting. And no one really came up with a plan on what to do, but they had to prepare pretty quickly, even hours is quickly for these people, because there was another meeting that was coming up with the militaries of the world. Now, I know that the Pentagon and GCHQ had been calling their phones for hours because this was literally hours before the alleged global martial law situation was supposed to happen at high noon Eastern time on Thursday. So they were, standing at the ready, waiting for orders, waiting for all the money that was supposed to come out, with this declaration. And of course, nothing happened. Really just a complete and total flop. So by the time they actually called these people back or called them into a meeting, it was a screaming fest of epic proportions. There was talk from all the militaries and political operatives and others that were in attendance of, forget you people, none of you people perform. They were talking about potentially calling us on our side. At least, she's the only one that we've ever seen money come from, meaning me. And we're just going to move on. It's been a long time. It's they started talking about these alignments, new moon, full moon, different days, 10-10, those kinds of things. And this screaming match went on for quite some time. I really thought we might actually see some progress. It looked like they were really going to actually leave the orders behind, meaning the Order of the Dragon and the Order of the Black Sun behind. Later on in that day, shortly after that meeting, there was a call that was actually placed to the GIA. In this case, it was Tom. From someone that works very closely with the generals of global headquarters. He said that everything was going to change and that we could expect within 24 to 48 hours to start seeing those changes even in mainstream media news. They were going to take back the media, all of these lovely things that everybody talks about. Well, it's now, at least 36 hours, if not longer, since they said that we would start to see something. I haven't seen anything. What I have seen from this particular group of generals who are, as per usual, they are full of, it. Let's just call it it. And because they're full of this it, here's what I have seen from them. A tremendous amount of hacking, and I mean enormous amounts of hacking, and not just trying to hack it, the financial system or anything like that. They were also trying to get access to what we call body computer networks, the Internet of Body things, if you will. These are things that would connect to, say, medical devices, wearable devices that work on Wi-Fi. They were also trying to connect to other wearable devices such as your Fitbit and your smartwatches and those types of things, which did not work out for them. It was a very large push. There was a very large push, let me put it that way to you today, to cause major destruction and disruption for all of humanity. It didn't look to me like they had left anything. It looked like they were trying even harder. So I'm not so sure about that big change. At the end of the meeting, after everybody stopped yelling at each other, though, they did ask for some time. They said, give us to the end of the day tomorrow, which would be today, to get you some funds so that you can continue to, quote unquote, wait. For what? I have no idea. Maybe it's another alignment coming up. I might have missed. But that could be the reason why they were hacking, trying to maintain some kind of control over operatives or something. Nonetheless, it fell flat. This afternoon, they actually told them, well, just give us till Monday. And then, of course, on Monday, it'll be Wednesday. And then Wednesday will take us to next Friday and the next new moon or full moon or whenever that is. So, yeah, I guess these people it's what they like to do. They also, in this particular phone call, said, just wait and you'll see. Well, I am not a member of the International Waiters Union that they are all a part of. So I told them I don't wait for anything. If I see something great, that's fantastic. Love to talk to you. But otherwise, I see nothing. I see nothing but the same thing I see every time there's a big failure. So I guess they would like to continue their professional waiting job that they have. I have also seen, number 2, zero changes in any news. I see nothing different than what I saw the day before and the day before that, and everything pretty much looks like status quo on their side of it. There's still a lot of heated there's a lot of rocket firing and talk between Iran and Israel, and Iran's going to do this and Israel's going to do that. The Hezbollah is still attacking Israel, now with drones. As of today, Israel's now still attacking Lebanon. Nothing has really changed in the news at all. Nothing. Okay, and this afternoon there was just another second round of fighting, which ended with putting everybody off until Monday. So, no hope there of anybody coming to any table. Probably also no hope of military funding or anything else coming in the near future. So all of these operatives can now consider, actually, waiters, meaning people that actually wait on tables and that kind of thing, probably get paid more than these people do at this moment in time for waiting tables. Maybe they should try a job waiting tables instead of just waiting for these people, because it'd probably be more fruitful. Okay, other rumors going around right now. In mainstream media and in some alt media channels, they are reporting that Zelensky declared a ceasefire, and oh my God, the Ukraine war is going to come to an end. Not so fast. Actually, the Kremlin responded to Ukraine, basically saying that the only way that they're going to accept any kind of a ceasefire would be if Ukraine is prepared to change its borders. By changing its borders, they mean that the Donetsk region, which is the area that's been in dispute for about a decade, would become Russian. And that they would give up that territory. The second thing that they requested is that Ukraine officially recognizes Crimea as Russian. That's what they mean by border changes. The other thing that they also said was that as long as there's a NATO application for Ukraine at play, that they would not consider any kind of ceasefire. Well, and it's business as usual, and the war games continue in the region. Okay, so it appears in mainstream media that it looks like Ukraine would be more on the western side. This is the story behind the story here with this war, and with a lot of business dealings within the U.S., them wearing their Black Sun symbol on their uniforms, that kind of thing. That's not new. And of course, the biggest one being Hunter Biden used to be on the board as of 2014 as a member of the largest natural gas company in Ukraine. He was even on their website there for a while until he had that little tiny, laptop incident and a few other things that happened, and they took him off the website. But that doesn't mean that the Biden family doesn't still own a portion of that gas company. So there's also a lot of ex-KGB, which there is no such thing as ex, and they are still considered KGB in my book because they hail from that era. Folks in Ukraine that still have a lot of business dealings with the West. They even bought into the dinar scam that's going on, where the dinar is going to revaluate. They were paid in dinar for drones and other things that they donated to other wars not in Ukraine. This has been going on for decades. So for those of you that don't know, the Ukraine was actually the largest area which produced weapons for the USSR back in the day, and it remained so for a very long time. Even to this day, they are still considered one of the largest areas that produces weapons for the Eastern Bloc. Let's see. Now that Hunter Biden had that little mishap, and then they called into question the Biden family's involvement in the first conflict in 2014. Now there's a couple of other businessmen from Yale and Harvard that have taken those slots. I think one is from BP. Wow, what a shocker there. And the other one, I can't remember the name of the company that he's involved in, but Harvard graduate, the whole thing. So you kind of already know it's just one hand feeds the other. The two gentlemen that appear there look to be, let's just say from our files, that they would be more on the Black Sun side, whereas the Biden family is more on the Order of the Dragon side. So is this a flip over of the resources of Ukraine? It looks like it to us. Now, way back in the day, in 2014, BlackRock was actually playing the role of the Russians. Now, the Russian president, current President Putin, I know for a fact, was actually involved in the Blackwater, it was what it's called back in that day, situation, and hiring and, let's just say, giving them Russian uniforms and so on and so forth to portray that they were actually Russian. He definitely stood to personally make a lot off the acquiring of the natural gas in the region. That was also part of the deal with Blackwater at the time, and then, of course, Blackwater's bosses, which was Bush Sr. and Cheney and others within the Black Sun. However, nothing really happened. Things kind of calmed down for a while until the last, couple years. Now, more about Ukraine. So if you have not seen it, Ukraine also gave BlackRock the contract in May of 2023 to rebuild all of Ukraine. No shocker there. BlackRock, Blackwater, Black Sun. I'm sure they would love to give them the rebuilding of Ukraine, and of course, a large share in their commodities there. Well, this isn't going over too well, as they appear to want to cut out the Russian bosses. For those of you that don't know, Russia has pretty much been in charge of the former, quote-unquote, former USSR nations. They have been the whole time, although in the mainstream media it appears that the USSR has broken up. That is completely false. It's still being run out of Russia, until this conflict here where everybody got a little greedy. Russia also would like to take over that territory. And that's what they were saying by changing borders. They would like to the Ukraine to recognize the fact that the Donetsk region, as well as Crimea, is theirs. There are reasons for that. I mean, number one, there are hundreds of billions of dollars of natural gas in that region, probably even more, might even be trillions. And remember, natural gas, also known as LNG, is the same as oil, meaning it is a regenerating resource. So by controlling the region there, they would have a lot of control over the resources and ownership, to which they'd probably, true to their form right now, would donate to the Chinese, probably for a very low price, which is why China has also been involved in this quote-unquote war by supporting the fight to gain control. Number two, they also have been enjoying, and recognizing themselves, at least Russia is, that Crimea is theirs. There is a fairly decently sized, non-working at this point, SSP base, or Secret Space Program base, underneath Crimea. Yes, the Secret Space Program operatives are not just American. They are also Russian. They come from every country, as we had pointed out quite a while ago. So there's no surprise they would like control of this facility that had, at the time they took control of it, one of the few remaining jump rooms left on the planet still functioning. Now, this was over a decade ago, so a lot has changed and that room no longer functions. But of course, this is part of the reason why they wanted Crimea. The other reason would be ports and access to the Black Sea and imports and exports and other things that they'd like to do in the region. Is there really a fight between the Ukrainians and the Russians? I would say that the fight right now is more between those not only in Ukraine, but also in Russia that appear to be more on the Black Sun side, and the others that appear to be more on the Order of the Dragon side. This is going on internally in Russia. It's not so much internally in Ukraine. Ukraine is just kind of like the little brother that's whining, moaning, and complaining and fighting for control back or 100% profitability from their natural gas and other resources. You know, if you don't know, and I've said it before, but I'll repeat it, the Ukraine was actually the birthplace of the Order of the Black Sun, and not Greece or Egypt, as many people claim. It was affected hundreds of years before Egypt ever was, and a lot happened there, and there used to be a lot of very dark stuff underneath Ukraine. So, is there really a conflict? Not really. You know, everybody just wants what they want, and it's always down to money. This war has not made the Ukrainians as much money as they thought it would. The U.S. says they need to be more focused now on the hurricane, of course, because it's an election season, and Ukrainians typically don't vote in American elections. So for now, the Americans are saying they're not going to support the Ukraine anymore. They're not in the war. They have to be more focused on hurricane victims and whatnot. To the point that in mainstream media, they are offering, I think, a total of $20 million or something to victims of Hurricane Helene. Well, $20 million isn't going to do anything for those people. I mean, it'll be a nice stipend, very similar to what we all got during the lockdown and pandemic period. It's not going to pay the bills. It's not going to pay the mortgages. It's not going to pay to repair their homes. It's pretty much not going to do anything. But it makes for good campaign talking, I guess. And we'll see if you get it. And how long that takes, because the way I look at it is they might have made that promise of that money coming out a little bit before they actually got any. So, another failure today. Are they going to push it off for a prolonged period of time? Are they going to be able to get a credit line, maybe from another bank or somewhere else? Possibly. Who knows? Either way, I do hope that they receive the funding, but they deserve and need a lot more than that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with the funding. Now let's talk about the Russians a little bit. Putin, being KGB, quote unquote ex-KGB, and also not living at this point. That's also either a masked man or a doppelganger or somebody. That man died several years ago, and there are rumors going on that his wife said something about it, his ex-wife and others. So, I'm let's just say I know enough about what happened there, and it wasn't long after I had left there the last time that this incident happened. And So now, whatever that is, was also involved at the time when it was the real Putin with Blackwater. That's a fact. I was shocked and surprised that he was actually involved with that situation, but not so much so when I looked at the copper isotopes and other deals he was doing around the world at the time. He just presents it as a more of a patriot, more for the Russian people. But then again, of course, as a KGB agent, he'd tell people what they want to hear. His propaganda machine works exceedingly well. They present him as all of these, bad fighting, guy. I was going to say bad, but and there was a word to follow that, but I can't say that. So he presents himself as a tough fighter, shirtless, horse riding, tough guy. And in reality, he's just a businessman that uses his position, like every other head of state, to earn personal wealth. It only comes out as quote unquote corruption when they fall out of line with the order. So that's the only time we ever see this stuff, like the Hunter laptop. And, he failed to secure some big deals over in China with China Petroleum, and between Kazakhstan and China Petroleum. He's kind of obviously got some other personal issues there that interfere with his ability to make deals on behalf of the order. And yeah, so there is your exposure. It's not really about exposing him and his business dealings, so to speak. It's more of his lifestyle that they're exposing, and it was done on purpose. The same thing happened to General Petraeus. They threw up this lady, in an affair and giving secrets, using his clearance to this woman. It's no different than a lot of other people in those positions do. He just happened to want to consolidate agencies and do a few other things which were out of line with what the order wanted when they had a lot of power. Now, I'm not going to say I don't have power over these people anymore, but this is what you're seeing in even the alt media. The alt media always gets so happy when they expose people like P. Diddy and others. But again, unfortunately, these are people that they either want to steal their wealth from, which they could do without the fanfare, or they're trying to make it look like the white hats or whoever they call themselves are actually doing something, and they're really not. So are the Russians fighting for Russia at the highest level? No, not even a little bit. They're fighting for control, money, and power, same as the U.S. does. Okay, so is Russia really a part of this BRICS organization? And are they really fighting against the West, for freedom and de-dollarization and all this stuff you see in the news? Absolutely not. You've got to be kidding me. Okay, so back in the 1990s, let's talk about Russia and their business dealings here. You could have bought anything in Russia during the time of the fall of the Soviet Union, alleged fall, because it's still not fallen. It's still functioning just fine the way that it always did before. Been there myself personally. I can tell you that is a fact. You could buy anything. Everything was for sale. Business was wide open at the time. You could buy a nuclear submarine if you had enough cash, or you could buy your way into some top oil companies and, gas companies and lots of other things they did. At the same time, that company TNK BP was born, which gave British Petroleum and MI6 and, of course, the CIA a huge interest in Russian oil. They were enjoying a large amount of profitability there together. They also made some deals about the price of that oil as it relates to BP. They also made a lot of other backdoor deals, which would allow for the Russian oil to be transported around the world, because we know all Customs and Border Patrol are run by the CIA worldwide. So, it kind of was a deal that I guess you would say, had to happen in order for the Russians to profit significantly. So the deal was made. Every large corporation in Russia is run by ex-KGB and you could say cooperatively with ex-CIA. Now, there's no such thing as ex, so you can say that the corporations were run and still are currently run by these agency people in a covenant that was made 3,000 years ago. So the Black Sun side, or intelligence agency folks, were there to secure the assets acquired during the alleged fall of the USSR, which really were acquired by the Order of the Dragon anyway, long before then, at the time of the fall of the Tsar, which this particular Tsar was even part of those families. So, at least part of the family. Anyway, so they have a long sordid history in Russia, mainly due to the enormous amount of land and resources they have. But are they fighting the West at this moment in time? No. They are fighting between each other, meaning the Order of the Dragon and their fight, which is the Red Dragon for Russia, and they're fighting against the Black Sun as to which organization is going to actually have control. See, the Order of the Black Sun folks and ex-agency folks got tired of just taking their 10% for security. They wanted to actually have full control, and we know, as we've said many times, security equals control. And in Russia, that is no different. Okay, so now at the fall of the Soviet Union, a new clan or another clan was formed we call the Gorbachev clan. And the Gorbachev clan is a group of oligarchs who were given $11 trillion to manage. And that was held offshore in a country called Andorra. It's a little landlocked country between France and Spain, unsuspecting. And Gorbachev was welcomed as a higher-ranking member of the Order of the Dragon. He did take the position as Red Dragon, the head, at that moment in time. And now I think it's been given to somebody else since some of the funding was moved around and cut off and that kind of thing. And maybe he wasn't successful in one of his tasks or whatever. But the clan and clans are like political operatives. So very wealthy, yes. But Russia has, a Yeltsin clan that's still around to some degree and other clans as well. There's a Putin clan, and they're made up of operatives that run, the administration. So it's just like the U.S. There's a Biden clan and there's a Trump clan and, there's still some Reagan clan members around, some of which joined the Trump team and gave it another round in the White House, or running it anyway. So Russia's no different. Big payoffs. It wasn't Reagan's tear down that wall speech that did it. It was the Rothschild family and $11 trillion that made that wall come down with no hope and no help from operatives, so American political operatives and Reaganites, as they call themselves, or anybody else, really. It was just all in the game. There really was no such thing as the Cold War in any way, shape, or form. It was just time for a transition of power, and so it was. Okay, again, getting a position for stepping down, which Gorbachev did at that time, as you know, if you're old enough to remember, then you wouldn't be surprised that Trump was also promised a position in a similar large payout of funds that he was supposed to manage as well. Those funds were supposed to come from the Order of the Black Sun. And they were supposed to be given to him so he would have a higher ranking position within the American royalty, so to speak, and he was supposed to be getting large payouts from the organization. Matter of fact, even after his death, or with whoever's playing the part now, it was supposed to still get this payout. As of today, nothing has changed. The only difference is they had more control back in the Gorbachev days than they have now. They refuse to recognize the fact that I am the one that supported the administration with better intentions for Americans, which he never followed through with behind the scenes. And so now they can all go wait for these people to go pay something, which is never going to happen. So I wish them luck. Matter of fact, there are several law firms that are still waiting for their payouts from these people. Some of them have walked away and stopped billing hours to the organization because, they've got to take other clients that are actually paying them. I hear some of them actually went to work for the Yakuza. So, which they do have some money because, they do a lot of black market trading. Let's call it black market trading of goods and services. Okay, so now Russia. For those of you that don't know, Russia and the KGB, quote unquote, also signed extremely large deals, and I mean really large and really long, spanning 2 to 3 decades with De Beers. For those of you that don't know, Russia produces a lot, and I mean a lot of diamonds. However, they were only able to sell some of them on the market to, of course, increase the price of diamonds for us lowly consumers that like to purchase these things. So that diamonds would still be considered rare and a commodity. De Beers also made a lot of different deals, along with Oppenheimer, throughout the African continent. So there's no surprise here that the KGB, in charge of the diamond sector of Russia, also profited greatly from the deal that they made with De Beers on an ongoing basis until, they didn't. They were also told that they would be paid in diamonds in part, which they were, these rough cut diamonds, but they were not allowed to sell those either. So their offers from De Beers kind of fell flat, which there's no surprise there. And it's kind of no surprise that they're a little bit angry over there too, as are the operatives in America these days, because they're not getting paid either. So, maybe turnabout's a little fair play, especially some of the operatives that actually participated in the quote unquote fall of the USSR back in those days, which they were paid handsomely for, but that ship sailed because those people don't control any money anymore. So, or currency at all. So, is Russia really fighting the West with BRICS and their partners? No, they're not. This is just for you. This is a lot of talk for you, meaning the average everyday person, to believe in a savior. Is what this is. Also coming out in the news in the last couple of days is India, one of the largest members of BRICS, has said that they will not support de-dollarization. Interesting. The same country where the Guptas have sat on the board of Goldman Sachs for a while, the same country that just did a multi-trillion-dollar deal a couple of years back with Elon Musk for a Hyperloop train. Elon Musk, their buddy with the train that never came, by the way, also is now supporting the Trump administration. And Elon also is basically saying he's in serious trouble if Trump doesn't get elected, which makes you wonder how many deals behind the scenes is Elon Musk making on behalf of the hopeful, in his mind, new Trump administration. Well, let's just say they're extensive. Really, really extensive. He's put a lot of money out there as, let's call them down payments. He has promised a lot of technologies. He has made a lot of behind the scenes deals on that little Starlink technology he's got. So the funding for said deals is supposed to come from the Trump administration, and it's also supposed to come. See, they lie to Elon Musk too, you know. It's supposed to come from the Order of the Black Sun, who has told everybody that they were the ones that supported the Trump administration. Well, I'm not from the Order of the Black Sun, never was, never will be, and definitely not getting involved in that orange show a second time around. I learned my lesson the first time. So Elon Musk is going to be disappointed either way. You know, I got to tell you, the amount of lies they tell you, the people, on mainstream media and on TV doesn't even compare. It pales in comparison to the amount of lies they tell each other. Wow, just wow. All those backdoor deals, the backdoor deals that Russia's making with China right now and have been for, God, those deals have been outstanding for a decade, with the natural gas in the Donetsk region there. So, and their Black Sun partners. You know, these people are still running around like it's 1985, and it's not. And I'm not just talking about Russia. I'm talking about the entire orders and the organizations. Since we have shut off the spigot, there's been a whole lot of lies and a whole lot of promises, and the deep state actors just get on TV and keep dancing, don't they? Elon Musk now with Trump, and Zelensky still dancing. You know, it hasn't changed. You know, the thing that hopefully has changed is their ability to cause us as humans harm. And their ability is getting, it's declining rapidly. Let's put it that way. Significant progress has been made in the last couple of days on our part as far as the removal of any influence, not only on the planet, but throughout the multiverse from Omega. I'll tell you, this last 0.07% or whatever I'm at now has been a bear. It's definitely been a push, but I guess that's to be expected when you back an animal into a corner. And this is a really big animal that has been around for billions of years. This is not your deep state people. This is not a few military people. This is your actual deep state. Without this, they have nothing. And I keep saying that, which is why my focus is on that. Yes, I'm paying attention to what's happening in Florida. We are paying attention to what's happening in the Carolinas and other areas. We are working on some kind of a backdoor network in the area that can be more in support of the people. Without any interference from government people. We kind of took away their whole reason for wanting to be there. Some of the things they were planning on mining have been confirmed by them to be missing, which is good for us and good for the people. Hopefully they'll leave you people alone now from that area. I have been reading some of the comments here and there that talk about what's happening there. And, you know, it's tragic what happened. The devastation was enormous, and I'm not in any way downplaying what happened in that region or what even happened in Florida. It could have been a lot worse in Florida. But the government corruption looms large there in both places. Deals were made on that land already. Deals were already made across borders even for the materials that were located under the Carolinas. And those deals too will fall flat. But as far as support for the people, it has to be done in a certain way. So you please understand me when I tell you there's no sense in doing something loud and proud that is only going to hurt people more. Meaning, there is a plan in place. We do not need some of the people that are considering themselves responders on the ground that are going to take what we give. We do not need fanfare. We do not need videos all over social media. We do not need anything if we are going to go in and do what we do. Just understand some things have to not be broadcasted because they'll go in and take everything we got. And that would mean pretty much any help that could end other than from each other. And people are definitely supporting each other in both areas. But it has to be done in a certain way at this moment in time because those people are crazy. And, this is for the people, not for the news or to say what we do or what we don't do. And I understand some people are very upset. They do a lot of doom scrolling, these people. I actually watched a lot of, not a lot, but several little TikTok videos and things like that. And people were knee deep in water when there wasn't even a surge. When it was 2 days before the hurricane, they were putting those videos out and paid to do so on Chinese social media. So it doesn't surprise me that they want to create as much fear as possible because they do use you to manifest things. And again, you don't realize how powerful you are as a group, as a united group. Those of you on the ground probably do realize that, but people from the outside looking in don't really understand what's happening. So I do want to thank our field messenger for giving us a detailed report of what was happening in the Fort Myers area. I appreciate you taking the time to inform people of what's really going on in the world, which is the whole reason why we have a United Network to begin with. Is for people like you that report what's really going on so we can kind of dispel some of these rumors that are going on and the fear and the doom that's being portrayed even in social media and alt media about what's happening. So thank you very much for doing that. We appreciate you more than you know. I hope all of you have watched that report in today's news. It was pretty amazing. So thank you so much for that. And with that, I am going to wish all of you a very wonderful weekend, hopefully. And it's time for me to get back to work. So no rest for me. So have a wonderful weekend, everyone. And I will see you on Monday. Hopefully actually make it on Monday. I barely made it to do this report. So have a great weekend and we'll see you then.